Okay, so today I am back at the porch, and much like last time, we're going to be doing an album anniversary, but instead of it being Weezer, this time it is going to be the album Significant Other by the infamous Limp Bizkit. And unfortunately, I don't have like the CD or anything out here. I don't have any merch just because I don't really have as much access to it, but I've listened to Significant Other in full at least a couple times. I've listened to like various songs, some of the hits as well as some other songs, a lot of times. So I have my experience with the album. But like most of Limp Bizkit's material, Significant Other gets a pretty bad rap, I would say, for reasons that I'll go into later. But there is some things to appreciate about the album. One of those things is the musicianship, mainly by the members that are not named Fred Durst. I wouldn't say it's really underrated though, especially nowadays, because nowadays you'll see more people praising the other members of the band for their musical contributions, particularly Wes Borland, the guitarist, and I think that is well deserved because they've come up with a lot of good riffs. You have your simple stuff like break stuff. That one's a very simple song, but it really works. It's just a very catchy riff, and honestly, it's actually kind of heavy sounding on the album. I know nu metal isn't really proper metal and isn't particularly heavy compared to even more traditional styles, let alone extreme metal and stuff like that. But that the guitar work is pretty heavy, especially combined with the production, which on a side attention to production, I think honestly suits the album really well, and it sounds pretty crisp, sounds pretty clean while still carrying some grit to it. It's just generally pretty nice. But anyway, back onto the guitar work. So you have your simple grooves that are catchy and that works and stuff. But there's also interesting technical ideas. I know Limp Bizkit isn't a very technical band when it comes to guitar work or complexity, but there's a lot of interesting ideas, techniques being implemented by Borland. I just think that is nice that they get a shine on the album. But there are a couple things though that I want to bring up in regards to this praise of their musical talents. And it's mainly that one thing I keep hearing is that his talents are kind of wasted in Limp Bizkit. I wouldn't really say that's the case, because the band does use his talents in some songs. They implement his techniques in the riffs in the songs. So it's not they're not using his techniques, they're using them. So I wouldn't say it's wasted. It's just that his talents are being used in a band that is not particularly great in terms of quality. That's how I would phrase it. But also, I also like to focus on the focus itself on Wes Borland, because the praise is mostly about him. But I think the other band members should also get their praise just because of the things they bring as well. And to be fair, I do think the praise for the other band members is growing. You see more people, give credit to Sam Rivers, the bassist, or John Otto on drums. And I think that's good too, because they also are really good at what they do. The bass lines that Sam provides, especially on tracks like Rearranged, that's a standout track in terms of bass, I would say. That has a killer bass line, but his bass lines are really good. And John Otto's drums, they get they might be a little simple, but they have great grooves. Although I'd retract that, because I guess they are kind of simple, but there are some exceptions, the drum solo, nobody us. He is killer on drums on that song, and just in general. But yeah, his grooves really work. DJ Lethal, I would say his contribution is the least impactful, just because he's more in the background, given that extra DJ scratching, just the extra distortion to back up the other instruments. So it's not as prevalent, but it's still there. It kind of helps to fill out the sound, stuff like that. So it's nice. Though I will say though, his contributions are more focused on the end of the songs. There's little sections that sometimes occur on songs as a instrumental break. I think those have Lethal produce some pretty nice beats, especially on the end of Trust. That one's pretty good. But anyway, now we've talked about the other band members though, so now we just have to focus on the one and only Fred Durst, who I mentioned earlier that we were going to discuss why people give this band a bad rap and this album. I think Fred Durst is the main reason why. Just because he is such a focus, such a, like a prevalent in the center of the music, but his contribution is just the weakest link, is the weakest out of all of them. It is just very hard for a lot of people to stomach. And I get why. Like, his voice is hard, is a little hard on the ears, honestly. Maybe a little bit of an understatement. And his lyrics, his rapping, his lyrical abilities are kind of lower than average in comparison to most rappers, especially back in the day. So, yeah, combined with those qualities, I could see why people will not be appreciative of the music if their main focus is on that. But, you know, it's not all bad when it comes to Durst. Because, you know, there's some good qualities, I suppose, even if it is little. Like his singing, a lot of people rag on his singing, but, you know, it's not that bad, I would say. Like, it's nothing too special. It kind of sounds kind of, like, grungy. I did hear that Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots was, like, his vocal coach. So I think it's influence from that's going into it. So, honestly, it's nothing special, but it's not too bad, I guess. I think the main highlight, I'd say, was probably his screaming, even though he doesn't really do it that much. Because he has some, like, pretty fierce screams. I think the main example will probably be Don't Go Off Wondering at the end. Like, feel me now! That's probably a butchering, but yeah, that's just me trying to do it. But yeah, it's pretty fierce. The only thing I'd like to mention is his lyrics. I do think this is kind of the in-between between $3 Bill and Chocolate Starfish in terms of lyrical seriousness, I would say. I guess maybe not serious, but lyrical caring about writing lyrics. Because I feel like he put more lyrical thought into his writing on $3 Bill. Yeah, it's a bit more complex. I'd say there's a bit more effort put in. For Significant Other, I feel like the lyric writing comes a little bit more jokey, a little bit less serious, less care being put into it. Especially stuff like break stuff, like there's a little bit of some lack of quality, I would say, when it comes to writing. But, you know, it's not fully off the deep end. I would say Chocolate Starfish is really where it just nosedives, but I feel like this is the start. But anyway, moving on from that, that's kind of weekend for that segment. I probably could have. Anyway, moving on from that, I guess, talk about standalone tracks. I would say the run between Nookie and Rearrange is the 3-song run, like Nookie, Break Stuff, and then Rearrange. I think that is probably a highlight because it's just such a killer run, you know. 3 standout tracks just smushed together in succession, and they flow nicely. And honestly, they're just really nice to listen to. I know it's not like super like critical, not very in-depth analysis, but you know, that's just kind of how it goes. The other standout track, I'm just gonna choose one for now, but the one standout track that's not those signals is probably Don't Go Off Wondering. I mentioned it with the scream that I was talking about earlier, his scream, so I just want to mention it. It's probably my favorite track on the album just because of that string section. I think it's kind of an interesting idea just for Limp Bizkit to do such a thing. I wouldn't really expect that from a band like them, but I think the string section sounds kind of nice. It kind of fits decently into the song. I really like the bridge, though. I kind of like how it builds up in intensity and stuff like that. It's just a killer song all around. But yeah, that's about it for me, yeah. So Significant Other, you know, has its poor qualities, especially when it revolves on Fred Durst. But there's a lot to appreciate about the album in terms of its musicianship. So despite its bad, I think it's a little underrated. I think you might check it out if you're interested. But I think that's just going to be about for me. I just wanted to make a video for this occasion. And that's about it. So see ya. Let me get close to my face, I guess. Oh, yeah, and I cut my hair. I don't know if you might be able to see that, but yeah.